All right, welcome back. Now, when it comes to our next story, we got all the trailers complete, and now we are going to return to animation news. And when it comes to this one, oh boy, did it get some strong reactions. In fact, throughout its lifespan, it received nothing but strong reactions. But it looks like its time on streaming is about to end, or at the very least, there won't be any more continuations, especially when it wasn't that long ago that we have received the holiday special. But either way, regardless of how you may feel, it is official now. It's over. Yes, Warner Brothers Discovery and Max have confirmed that the adult animated Scooby-Doo series Velma has officially been canceled after 2 seasons. Now, this was honestly very interesting because the first time that this was actually reported was not from these news articles directly coming from the studios themselves, but rather it was, I believe, a background artist in which he put out a clue that apparently Velma might have been canceled. And of course, people reacted very strongly towards that. And they pretty much took it to say that Velma is over, it's canceled, and all that kind of stuff. Now, that same background artist, they end up deleting their post and try to put out a clarification that it's actually because they were not aware of what Velma's future could be. If there was going to be a season 3 or anything like that, they just don't actually know. You know, they just wanted to put out their statement in terms of what's happening with their job and questioning if they will continue working on the Velma series. Like, it's mainly just like making those kinds of wonders that people immediately read as like an official announcement that it was canceled. But it wasn't until news articles decided to go and contact both Warner Brothers Discovery and Max directly to go and confirm if that is true, and they actually said yes. After 2 seasons and a Halloween special, they are going to be canceling Velma. In fact, we actually do have some quotes, or just one quote here, coming from Max, or a spokesperson from Max, to which they have stated, "Over the past 2 seasons, Mindy Kaling and Charlie Grandy have created an incredibly fun and fresh world within the iconic Hood Unit franchise." Or the Whodunit franchise. Sorry, I did not read that. I did not read that correctly. Anyways, while we won't be moving forward with another season of the series, we thank them for their compelling coming-of-age storytelling, unrivaled clues, and hilarious hijinks. Did we have another? Oh, we actually do have another quote. Or no, that's not a quote. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, that's just a continuation to go and discuss about like some of the people who have worked on it. Of course, you did get Mindy Kaling, who is both an executive producer and playing the voice of Velma herself. But this was mainly developed by someone by the name of Charlie Grandy. And yeah, from there, it looks like there won't be any more Velma that's going to be coming out. Now, one thing that I just want to go and make things clear, I just want to go and get it out of the way. I do understand the sentiments regarding Velma, and I am not going to be I'm not going to be taking anyone's opinion away from that series. And I do get it. Yeah, the show is not good. It sucked. And it could debatably be said that it's one of the worst things to ever come out of the Scooby-Doo franchise, one of the worst adult animated series in recent years, or maybe one of the worst animated series in recent years. Like, in terms of those opinions, how people feel about that, I'm not going to take that away from you at all. I get it. But I gotta say, though, it's the level of hate that is honestly overwhelming. I would even go as far and say that I don't think there has ever been an animated show or any animated project that has received this level of intense hatred than Velma. And keep in mind, I have been doing this for several years now. I've been doing it for about 15 years, and I've seen the animation community go rampant and go savage on a variety of different animated projects, whether it be stuff like the Emoji Movie or Teen Titans Go or some of the seasons of like modern SpongeBob or whatever, or The Simpsons and what have you. I have seen people throw in absolutely so much hate on different kinds of animated projects, but never on the scale of Velma. And that, honestly, I would debate maybe it might have been a little too intense, or at least a little too intense for my taste, where like, honestly, like there's a fine line between hating it and then like hating it with an absolute passion. Like, honestly, I feel like there is a fine line on like how much hate can you go and deliver a cartoon. And some people decided that they want to go and take it to the next level where like every anger that they have in their own fiber being to just unleash it onto this one animated series. Like, there's a fine line between being mad at an animated show like Velma and being mad at it as if it really did something personal to you. Like, that's the kind of anger that I have often seen from people. Like, they're mad at, like, the way that they're mad at Velma, it's almost as if, like, that Mindy Kaling Velma did something personal to them that they cannot accept, and that they want to hold that John Wick style grudge and vendetta against them. Like, honestly, when it comes to Velma, there are some people who are so mad at them, it's almost as if they would go and walk into their room and they would see Velma Velma getting laid with their partner, that they're just writing their partner unapologetically, like, oh yeah, give it to me, yeah, that. Excuse me, what the heck are you doing? Can't you see that we're busy? Can you just go on? It's almost as if like they witnessed Velma doing that to their partner and having that attitude when they saw that. Like, in that regards, if the Mindy Kaling Velma did that to your partner, then at that point, I completely understand the anger. I understand the grudge that you may have. But that's not necessarily the case, though, is it? It's just the fact that it's a bad animated show. Like, that's really the biggest crime that it actually went and committed. And there could be a variety of reasons as to why. But honestly, it's just seeing people going this extreme with their hatred. That is where I personally find to be very overwhelming, and that it can reach a level that I personally think that it can be quite toxic. And there is a part of it that when I do see that, honestly, I find that it can be a bit familiar as well. Because trust me, when it comes to getting angry over some animated project because you feel like it's so bad, I get it. I was there once. And from that time, I did receive backlash because I let that carry it away. Like, I made the mistake of not controlling my emotions during that time. And it even got so intense that I ended up hurting people that I didn't necessarily mean to. And ever since then, I try to go and trace my steps and try to go and improve upon myself and like to learn from that whole experience. And honestly, that's where I'm honestly seeing that's what I've been seeing, like with all this rage against Velma and some other animated projects as well. It's on the fact that like the way people react to stuff like Velma, it's not that different than how I reacted towards stuff like Sony Pictures Animation and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. And trust me, I know there's a lot of people who would be upset that I would do that kind of comparison to what they would go and regularly do. And with those people, they would think like, oh, they're doing it because like it's trending, it's popular to go and do so. But they don't realize the damage that they are doing or the kind of people that they are hurting while they're expressing that kind of anger. And it's not just related to Velma. It's related in general to when the animation community is given a project that they just want to absolutely hate and destroy it for everything that it is worth. They want to go and do that. And when they would go into that massive rage mode, they don't realize the people that they are hurting along the way. And that is especially the case with animators, and especially the people who are working on Velma. Like, as they're celebrating the cancellation of Velma, they don't realize that they're also celebrating animators who are unfortunately losing their jobs. I mean, we know this very well, especially in this time. It's becoming harder and harder to maintain a job as an animator. In fact, nowadays, there are animators out there who have strong followings on social media that they have to go and announce that they have to go and sell their own personal stuff in order to go and make ends meet. And a big part of it is because of the current ecosystem of how Hollywood is right now, where you got shows like Velma that cannot survive beyond a second season, and that especially when big corporations that they want to try to go and save some money, they have to go and cut down thousands of jobs. And we've been seeing this again and again at studios like Warner Brothers, Disney, Paramount, and all that kind of stuff. It's been at the point where it's becoming so excessive and it's becoming increasingly difficult. And I could go and state this right now, that trying to go and celebrate the cancellation of a show, honestly, that really does not help at all. And it's something that I personally feel like, are there some people in the animation community that actually do care about animators, or do they just not at all? Because I can guarantee you, there are a lot of those people in that particular fandom that they're just blindly following along with what is considered trendy. It is insane to go and find that there are a lot of people amongst the animation fan base that they're going to go and say that, hashtag I stand with animation. They want to support animators. But then on the next post, they would go and celebrate the cancellation of Velma and throw all their hatred on certain animated projects that they absolutely despise. In fact, we have recently seen this occur. There were some animation fans that when Pixar announced that they would go and cut down, I think 70 jobs during that time, that one of the people that was let go was Angus MacLane, who was the director of Lightyear. And considering some animation fans, they hated Lightyear with a passion, they actually celebrated that he ended up losing his job, that he ended up getting fired and let go from Pixar, all in the basis of how much they hated Lightyear. And the point that I want to try to go and make is that there really is kind of that fine line when it comes to certain animation fans. Again, not all of them, of course, but some of them can go way too far when it comes to their anger for certain animation projects, or when it comes to animated projects that they themselves really don't like. And maybe it's fueled by their own personal opinion. Maybe it's fueled by their lack of ability to try to control their emotions. Or maybe it's just because they just want to go and follow the trend because, they see their favorite influencers do it, or they see how many likes it would go and get on social media. So they want to try to go and do the same. So they want to go and take it to those kinds of extremes for their, for that self-righteousness, for that, to be a part, to be a part of the cool kids club, because they think that they will belong if they would go and do these certain types of actions. But again, they don't realize the reality of the damage that they are doing when inflicting that kind of hatred. And again, this is not exclusive to Velma. This is in regards to if you would give the animation community a cartoon that they want to go and absolutely despise. And this goes with many others as well. This also includes some of the recent ones like Lightyear or Wish, for example, or even some from the past, with Teen Titans Go, or with SpongeBob, or with the Emoji Movie. Like there have been several examples. Like you'll see many people that they will throw their hatred, they will go crazy on social media to express their anger, but they don't realize how hurtful their words actually are, and they don't realize the reality of who they are hurting. Rather it be people that they highly admire, like some animators or some prominent filmmakers, or even amongst their own personal group, like who they don't realize that that they're hurting their friends along the way. I mean, it is easy to go and antagonize someone like me for what I've done with stuff like with what I used to do with Sony Pictures Animation or Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. But those people who still antagonize me for that to this day, I could bet you they are too scared to look in the mirror and admit that they are doing the same thing with stuff like Velma and Wish. And honestly, I feel like that is kind of a dark reality that highlights a toxicity that's happening with the animation community. And I mean, I know that technically it's not just exclusive to them. Like we do see this all the time with several different fandoms as well, but still that doesn't put out the fact that this is a massive problem that is happening within the animation community, that there are some people in there that cannot control their emotions and that they let their anger get the best of them. They let their hatred towards certain cartoons go a little too far and not realize the reality that they are doing more harm by expressing that kind of anger or at that level of that anger than they may actually realize. Again, I'm not taking away your opinion on Velma itself. I get it. It's not a good show at all. It sucks. It's cringe. It's way too cynical for its own good. I get it that it is not good. But the fact of the matter is, its biggest crime that it committed is just that it is not a good show. And that is it. And by that point, there is kind of a level of anger that you need to go and express, and like a bit of a limitation of how much you can go and express. Because if you're just going to go all out on it, then you're just going to be destructive. And you're going to end up hurting yourself more so than the project that you want to go and hurt. And I can guarantee you, there's a lot of people out there who express their rage and anger towards Velma. They are hurting themselves more so than they are hurting the series. And trust me when I say that there are animators out there, there are a bunch of animators out there, some that you may admire as well, are not too happy to see your posts celebrating the cancellation of Velma. I'm just saying. So if anything, I feel like this is a bit of an eye-opener on how toxic the animation fanbase can be, especially when there is something that they don't like as well. It's just a problem of not controlling their emotions, of having that mistake of not putting in a bit of a limitation on like how emotionally engaged they would want to go into. And I am hoping that things can get better, that people can reflect upon that as well. Because again, I am just saying, like, yeah, people will go and like to this day, still make fun of me, still present me like a loser and a clown for the way that I treated Sony Pictures Animation and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. But I am just saying, take a look at the mirror and take a look at the projects that you may not like. Regardless of how popular it may be to hate things on like Velma, are you really that different than how I was back then? I'm just saying, like, take a good look at yourself. Regardless of how popular you get, or how many likes that you would receive on social media, it's a lot more similar than you may want to admit. So I just want to go and put out my comments on all that. And yeah, all right, fine. Velma is canceled, whatever. Like at least like people can move on from that whole thing. And I do wish the best of luck to all the people who did work on the show, that again, they could go and quickly pick themselves back on their feet, and that they'll find a new project that they'll have the opportunity to go and work on and still continue to go and make a living in terms of what they love to create. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go onto the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the cancellation of Velma? If you have seen the show, I would love to know your thoughts on it. And also, how do you feel about the amount of hatred that was given, that Velma received throughout its time on Max. Let me know what you think on all this. All right, let's see what we got here. Even for me, I would also throw in the Proud Family Louder and Prouder. The hate behind that Proud Family revival is honestly ridiculous. And this is coming from someone who actually thinks the revival is slightly better than the original, especially with its updated animation. Yeah, exactly. It's like what I said. It is in general, in terms of animated projects, it doesn't exclusively have to be like some of the prominent targets nowadays that that animation fans love to hate, whether it be Velma or Wish or anything like that. Like, it's in regards to anything that that in their opinion they think it's bad, and even if it's like a popular opinion or an unpopular opinion, that they could like let their emotions like get the best of them and unfortunately go and take things too far. So yeah, like there are some prominent examples that you could find. Let's see what else we have here. Well, Velma on HBO Max, I say good riddance. Some fans of Scooby-Doo have been so toxic and so insane to go and attack the series and the creators to make the series the worst thing ever. I'm not sure for the Scooby-Doo live action series on Max, but now finally we could give it a rest. If you want to see something crazier, check out the downfall of Diddy. It's about Sean Combs getting the #MeToo for sexual misconduct for decades, who's then what Harvey Weinstein did. It's just very horrible. Oh, absolutely. My God. Like, trust me, the downfall of P. Diddy is like probably one of the biggest highlights of this year, especially the stuff that's been revealed about the guy. Like, honestly, it's just layers upon layers of craziness, especially like with over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and almost 800 dildos found in his mansion. Like, it's honestly insane what he has done, but like, honestly, like, as hilariously crazy as it can be, like, it's still massively tragic with how many victims that P. Diddy has, and especially with his behavior towards women. It's like, it is unacceptable and it should be considered downright criminal, and hopefully that's how he should be treated for the rest of his life. Just a very dangerous criminal who had way too much power than he should. But anyways, I'll be straight for you. I got to watch the series, except for the second due to Sublimit, and I thought it was okay to bad. The mystery aspect was interesting, but trying to be Harley Quinn ruined it. But even for being canned, there was no celebrating. Even a Disney show, Haley's on It, had that fate, and fans are moaning about it. It just proves right there, folks. Folks are very hypocritical. Open your eyes. My condolences to the animators, and do something better. Yeah, no wonder. No, I do understand where you're coming from. That is true. The damage that cancellation on projects of any kind and how jobs are affected is frightening and must be addressed to the fullest on hand. On the other hand, however, if it's this sort of show that would have potentially go as low as saying Ezra Miller did nothing wrong, the vitriol specifically towards that show is justified as long as innocent creatives aren't bullied in the process. Yeah, exactly. And there are some fine lines. Like with Velma, honestly, I cannot really think of like what it did that is so unethical. You know, it's not like the Flash movie where it would go and try to enable someone who is quite literally a criminal with legit video evidence of their crimes. So, and not to mention that with the Flash, technically, people already did get paid. They did their jobs and stuff like that. They're able to go and add their work onto their resume and stuff like that. So I get throwing that kind of hate towards something like The Flash because there are some things that it definitely did deserve. But when it comes to Velma, honestly, I don't think so. That's where the hatred went like way too far that honestly animation fans are too scared to admit. Let's see. I'm honestly not really that surprised. As much as I agree that Velma was bad and by far the worst thing to come out of Scooby-Doo, I agree that the hate got massively overblown and out of control. And honestly, at this point, the show isn't even worth hating anymore, especially if it comes out at the cost of people's jobs, and quite possibly the worst time with how much of a mess the animation industry is right now. Oh yeah, trust me. How many animation fans are there that forgot that right now the Animation Guild is still in talks with the with Hollywood producers right now, or with Hollywood executives, in order to go and get a better deal? In that regards, I think animation fans might have forgot things like that are still happening when Velma was announced to be canceled and stuff like that. Like, you gotta keep in mind, folks, like, have your priorities. Like, know where your battles are. Are you an actual ally? Do you side with Hollywood executives with their decision to go and immediately cancel Velma? Or do you want to side with animators so that they could keep having their jobs? I'm just saying. Like, there is kind of like that moral line that you have to go and, like, consider. Let's see. Look, I get why Velma isn't liked, and it sucks that this is one of those shows that could have been really good. But don't try to bother anyone that worked on this show, okay? Okay. Overall, I just hope we can all move on from this, and I find something we can enjoy together, but knowing the animation fan community online, they won't. Hopefully we could get a better Scooby-Doo adult cartoon series that is done right someday. Something like the X-Files, but with Scooby-Doo characters. I mean, it is possible. I think there is an easy way that you can make an adult Scooby-Doo series that can actually be good. There's a lot of potential there. It's just that Velma tried and it didn't really work out. And I mean, it shouldn't be punished for it as if Velma was produced by P. Diddy, you know? It's not, like, trust me, Mindy Kaling Velma should not receive the same kind of reactions as P. Diddy. That should be a good rule right there. I think I only have time for one more comment, so let's see what we have right over there. Let's see, would this be a good one? Or okay, this should be interesting, actually. Speaking of going out of control with rage and hate, I'm not innocent myself. I have a horrible berserk towards those who say negative things about 3D CG in this chat included, and now having the reputation of lashing out when they say negative things about it and now being blocked for a week, I accepted that it was a waste of time. Now, what's next? I'm going to be a Diego 2.0 and say don't underestimate 3D. You know you shouldn't underestimate 3D. Now I'll focus on ignoring the opinions and focus on myself. Dude, you are in the step of a great direction right there. Like, the first thing you got to do is acknowledge your mistakes. Again, you can have whatever opinion you want. You know, you can be defensive, or like you can have a positive opinion towards computer animation or CG. You can have a positive opinion, or you can have like whatever negative opinion you have towards Velma. You could say that it sucks and it's one of the worst animated shows in recent years. That's perfectly fine. You just have to go and acknowledge the actions that you are doing, that it can be a lot worse than it is. You know, like, that's going to like do you some harm. That's when you have to realize, like, are you able to go and control your emotions during these kinds of arguments? And trust me, it could be a difficult path. And it took me quite some time to go and improve myself on it. But that, like, honestly, you're like, as long as you do acknowledge it and you're working on yourself to become better so that you don't repeat that same kind of mistake, you're gonna turn out to be fine. So honestly, hopefully we will take this as a lesson about this entire thing, and that hopefully there can be some acknowledgement of people's actions, or like when they rage a little bit too much towards certain animated projects just because they don't like it, and that hopefully we will take more action in terms of calling those people out so that they can go and acknowledge their mistakes, and that hopefully they can go and improve.